Why is scrolling on the phone before going to bed is so addicting? We just can't let go of it.
Is it really about the willpower?
Actually, it isn't. See,
Yeah.
there are certain habits which will always be a problem for your sleep. If you drink a lot of water just before bed, that's a problem.
How many hours of sleep is good for you?
Right? It's not like that you're gonna die tomorrow if you don't sleep enough. And you'll be able to go to work, you'll be able to drive, you'll be able to get by your life. A lot of us love to take naps, and does it help?
You have to understand why you nap and how you nap.
If you nap, then what is the best way to nap?
So there are three things you have to remember. Pills really help with sleep. Are they addictive to me?
Is taking sleep medicines good for you? I think that's a very important question.
Does this happen to you that you are extremely tired and looking forward to get good night's rest? But the moment you put your head on the pillow, all kinds of strange thoughts begin to rush into your mind and you just can't sleep. The worst part is, the more you try to control these thoughts, the worse it gets. This is called sleep anxiety. In today's podcast, we are going to talk about why you are tossing and turning in bed, why you cannot sleep, why you are fatigued the entire day, and the best part is we are going to give you certain tips on how you can break this cycle. Hi, I'm Dr. Nivedita Pandey.
And hi, I'm Dr. Chandril Chugh, and we are both American board certified doctors. Welcome to Dr. Good Deed podcast. This is a platform where specialists from different fields like modern medicine, Ayurveda, homeopathy, and allopathy come together to bring you the answers to the questions and concerns you have, and bring you the answers that are trustworthy and reliable. So welcome.
Let me start off by asking you one thing. You know, there are some people who will put their head on the bed and they'll immediately get the best sleep, like they say, I slept like a baby. And then there are others tossing and turning the entire night, sleep just doesn't come to them. What is going on in the brain at this time?
Well, there's certain people who have learned that bed is a place where you rest. So when you go to the bed, it's like a safety zone. You just fall asleep. These are good sleepers. But if you are a bad sleeper, then bed is associated with anxiety. This is a place where you know you cannot rest. You'll keep waking up and you're worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. So bed has been associated now in your brain with anxiety and stress. And when you are anxious and stressed, you cannot sleep.
Wow, can you imagine the bed becoming like the scene of a battlefield?
Yeah.
That you look forward to that bed because you're tired, but there is this whole battlefield that just suddenly opens up and you can't sleep.
Yeah, when you keep thinking about things, especially the ones that are negative, and you keep replaying them in your head because you just can't relax. And you know what? This is like, This is like not being able to let go. This is about control. People who cannot let go, cannot relax, have the most problem going to bed. They keep doing things to make sure that, they're going to look at their heart rate. They're going to look at how many times are they waking. They're going to look at their smartwatch. They're going to look at their body temperature, a lot of things. But you know what is going to happen? They're not going to relax and they're never going to fall asleep.
I want to ask our listeners, how many of you are control freaks who are doing exactly this, watching their smartphone while they really should be sleeping?
On the other hand, if you're using a device to help you sleep and you're looking at it like 10 times in the night to see what your sleep quality is, do let us know in the comment section.
I want to also ask about one thing. I know that when I was a child and sometimes I was very tired or very anxious right before a test and I couldn't sleep. And I'd go and talk to my parents, I can't sleep. They would tell me, what you need to do is just start counting the sheep jumping over the fence. Or, count from 1 to 100. By the time you'll reach 100, you would have slept. But guess what? I've counted to 1,000,000. 1,000,000 sheep have already jumped through the fence. I still can't sleep.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. See, what happens is this is all counterintuitive. We think that we're going to think about something else and we're going to fall asleep easily. On the other hand, what is happening is that we're becoming more and more anxious and more worried as the count keep going up, because now we're not able to relax and go to bed. So it's actually not working in our favor. It is hurting our chances to go to bed and relax. So I think the major problem of people not being able to sleep is, first of all, they're too worried to actually go to sleep. And that is actually, the brain is still stuck in control mode. So they cannot relax, the body cannot relax, the muscles are tense, you're breathing fast, you're not relaxing, and you will not believe it. a lot of these people, they're not only exhausted, they also have gut problems like constipation because they cannot do the same thing while they're going to poop. They're still very tense. They cannot relax. And when you're not relaxed, the waste from the body is not going to come out.
What a great thing you brought about. I mean, imagine in our world, the most advertisements we see are on how we can relax, go to this particular vacation to relax, there is this spa to relax, this kind of a bath.
Yeah.
But we're actually having so much problems just relaxing. So we are having sleep anxiety and constipation along with it.
Yes. So now let's discuss why is scrolling on the phone before going to bed or even watching television before we go to bed is so addicting. We just can't let go of it. I spend like 2 hours, I used to spend like 2 hours before bed just scrolling phone and watching television, hoping to get to sleep. Why is that happening?
You know, I think one of the big reasons is nighttime you already are very exhausted from the whole day. Your brain is exhausted. And actually because of that, there is very poor self-control. You're not in the best mental state, let's say. You make poor judgments. You're making poor choices at that time. And therefore the phone or the television becomes a very easy thing for you to sort of linger into. Have you ever noticed that that's also a time where you're emotionally very weak, and so you make a lot of emotional decisions? Even the kind of content you're watching at night, if you ever think about it, is actually more emotional. That's one of the big reasons why most of us are doing a lot of emotional eating at night. You know, I'm sure most people will agree, the urge to eat junk food or that little sweet thing that you've been craving just comes at night. So we are all ordering junk food. There's a lot of emotional eating happening.
No, you're absolutely right, because see, most of the crimes happen at night. Most of the ordering of food happens at night. And this is actually because of the fact that your brain is tired and by the end of the day cannot make complex decisions, or what you call as willpower is probably depleted by the end of the day. And what is more interesting is because every time you're watching a video or you're watching a reel, what your brain is getting these small dopamine hits, and dopamine is like a pleasure hormone in the brain, so it keeps you hooked. It's the same chemical that works in people who gamble or who jump from heights and get an adrenaline rush. This is the same thing that keeps you addicted to things. And in the same way, this dopamine hit keeps coming, and every funny reel, every sensational news, and every new reel that comes in, brain thinks, let's do it one more time. Let's do it one more time. And you keep getting into that loop, and before you know, it's 2 hours past bedtime.
It's so interesting, right? When you stand on a treadmill, you can measure 30 seconds.
Yes, yeah.
But when you're watching a reel at night, you don't even know when 2 hours have passed.
Yeah, and a big thing with that is because see, the reels and the social media also is so addicting. It's because it's also a stress soother. See, imagine you are worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. Let's say you have an exam. Let's say you have to meet someone. It's a big meeting which is coming. You're nervous about it. You're worried about your health. You may have a doctor's appointment tomorrow and you're worried about it. You're worried about your future. So what brain does is it takes you away from what is worrying you to what gives you transitory benefit or transitory solace, and that is where the phone comes in. So you train your brain to look away from what is bothering you and go towards something that soothes your stress. And that is why social media becomes addicting, because at night is when we actually think about all the negative things happening in our lives, right? Like I fought with someone, somebody doesn't like me, nobody has called me, how many likes did I get on my video? All these things you'll be thinking right before bed. And what is the easiest thing the brain is going to do? Let's watch a reel. Let's go on the social media.
You know, one of the things I see a lot in my clinic, you know, amongst couples, it usually happens that one can sleep very well, but the other can't. And then when they come to clinic, one of the big complaints that, say, one spouse has for the other is, you know, this person doesn't sleep and the whole night they're just watching reels or television. And, you know, I keep telling them, you've got to have the willpower to stop this. But, you know, he or she just can't. So I want to ask you, I think people feel guilty. Honestly, they feel very bad about the fact that they're on their phones at night. And I know that they really think in the morning, hey, I have very poor willpower. I again couldn't do it. But is it really about the willpower?
Actually, it isn't. On the other hand, you actually trained yourself to do this. This is, in medical terms, known as neurochemical conditioning. So what is happening is, through your willpower, you have trained yourself to be this. So it's not like that you do not have the willpower, you just use it in the wrong direction. So if you keep doing something out of pleasure, you don't see it as willpower. We usually associate willpower with something which is painful. But when you start enjoying something, we don't consider it willpower. We consider it like a normal part of life. But the phone thing, the social media addiction, all of this, we've used our willpower in the wrong direction to get addicted to them. And that is why it's conditioning and not a question of willpower. So don't blame yourself.
That's so wonderful. I think that's the silver lining behind it. So for all the listeners who are feeling guilty about using their phones at night, well, we can at least congratulate ourselves. We have good willpower. But what we can probably do is direct that willpower in a different direction.
Correct.
Would you say that? It
Yeah,
just
I agree.
needs a little bit of direction, a little nudging towards the right side.
I mean, and see, let's be kind to ourselves. We are humans. We
Absolutely.
can have our shortcomings. It's okay to watch television and phone sometime during the night. It's okay. I mean, it's okay to indulge, right? And if you agree with it, why don't you let us know in the comment section that it's okay to indulge sometime or the other. We just need to be cognizant of how much is too much. Then we need to take better care of ourselves. It's okay, right?
You know, why does it happen that the moment you're trying to sleep, your brain is replaying every embarrassing moment of your life, every mistake that you have made, and you're worrying about all kinds of things at night? Why does this happen to people?
Well, let me explain it to you of why it has become a habit to think about all the negative things, especially before you go to bed. All right. So let's say in the morning, you have a lot of things that will be playing on your mind. Your daily schedule, what's going at work, how your relationships are going, what about friends, let's party, let's plan, right? So you have a lot of distractions, but at night, all of them are taken away. You probably have nothing to fear about except the future. So what you do, what your brain does is it has to latch on to some other distraction. So it takes your mind away from what is right in front of you to something in the future, or maybe something in the past that you cannot control. And that is one way that it keeps itself engaged, because we have not learned how to settle our brain down, of how to be comfortable without a distraction. Imagine this, I mean, you're sitting in a meeting and you're listening to even an interesting presentation. What you would do is check your phone 10 times in a minute. You're seeing the messages, you're seeing for emails, maybe there's something else on the calendar which is a notification. And why do we do that? Even if we're watching something interesting, let's say on Netflix or Prime, right? The reason is that we have trained our brain to become more and more distracted. And that is why when it has no distraction, it makes up distractions which are usually negative, because that's the easiest thing to come. Second, as you have seen, we were hunter-gatherers in a very old time, right? And most of us were really scared of night. Like at night,
it was a dangerous time. Yeah, it was a very dangerous time at night in those days. Yeah,
absolutely. See, we were in the wilderness. You could be attacked by animals at night. Somebody could kill you at night. People would have invasions happen at night because people are sleeping and they're relaxed. So by nature of it, the brain has learned to be vigilant if it has to be. That's the easiest thing the brain can do. And that's why at night you actually scan for threats. You're not making any plans.
Wow.
You're scanning for something that can go wrong. I mean, maybe I'll fail the exam. Maybe I'll be broke. Maybe I'll have a loss in business. Maybe my wife or my girlfriend will leave me, or boyfriend will hate me. We are only looking at threats because our brain is trained to look at threats at night. That's why when you're walking down a street at night, your brain is trained to look for things which are unusual so that you can be alert.
Absolutely. You're in that flight and fight mode. Absolutely,
yes.
yeah.
So your body is always tensed because it's easy for brain to do that. It comes with our evolution. That is why it is so important in our life, so that the bedroom is associated with a place of safety. It should be associated with calmness. It should be associated with rest, so that we don't have to worry about these things when we go to bed, and our body and brain learn to relax so that we can go to sleep.
Absolutely. It's almost like the brain has these memory loops that it keeps going through, and I think that sometimes if you try to stop the thought, it really backfires. Like that big example that we know about that comes from a very well-learned saint who had a disciple who came and told the saint, hey, I think I've learned everything from you and I think it's time for me to go. And the saint says, yes, I think you've learned everything. Before you leave, I'll just give you one piece of advice. When you are meditating, do anything, but just don't think about monkeys.
Yeah.
And guess what? He sits down and the monkeys are coming from everywhere. They're jumping off, they're falling off the sky, they're jumping on his head, they're looping around trees. And no matter how hard he tries, the monkeys can't stop.
You're right.
Isn't it like that with the brain too at night, that these kind of thoughts tend to backfire on you?
Yeah, the more you'll try to control them, and I think the key word is control them, the worse it will get. And I think the problem occurs when we try to control a lot of things in our lives. And if we just let go of the control, I'm sure it's easier said than done, but letting go is the biggest feeling that we should all strive for. But what you should remember is, a lot of people feel that they have this because they are not successful in life, or maybe they're failing at something, they have no confidence, and they think that successful people sleep peacefully. This got nothing to do with successful or unsuccessful people. Even successful people tend to have a lot of sleep problems, a lot of problems with being comfortable in bed. And that is probably because when your nervous system is too tired, it is difficult for it to control itself, and it keeps manufacturing thoughts. So it's not a problem just because of the willpower or you're trying to fight it. You're just tired. This is what we call as chronic stress. Your nervous system has been hyper-stimulated, and it's been stimulated because of a lot of bright lights, a lot blue light.
Blue light,
Have
absolutely.
ever heard?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
So that is what is keeping your nervous system engaged and stimulated. When it's blue light has got nothing, it's not the be all end all of not being able to sleep. It's just a small part of it. But just to make an example, just to put things in perspective, it is because of too much stimulation that the nervous system cannot put itself together. And that is why you cannot stop thinking about it, because you just can't relax. It is not about willpower. It is not about being successful or not. It's actually about being tired. And that's why I say, first look at yourself with a lot of kindness.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
You should love yourself more. And when you start doing that, you will see you will not need to control a lot of things. And your body will start loving you back.
You know, what an interesting thing you said about being kind to yourself and loving yourself. I can probably say this with a lot of confidence, because this is what I hear mostly in clinics. These thoughts that are coming in people's minds at night are mostly those that are basically incriminatory towards them.
Oh, yes.
They're thoughts that tell them they're wrong.
Yeah.
They're thoughts that tell them that they didn't make the right decisions.
Yeah.
They're thoughts that torture them. You see,
Yeah.
they don't need somebody else to torture them. That bedtime thought, which is disrupting their sleep, is enough to torture them. In fact, I'd like to ask people, how many of you suffer from this, where you're constantly going through these thoughts that are torturing you, and you know they're not right, but you just can't stop them?
Yeah.
So, what you said about being kind to yourself is so important. Loving yourself is so important.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so you know what? A lot of times we get asked this question, especially by patients. It's like, is this sleep anxiety just a brain issue, like a mind issue? Or is the body also involved?
There are many signs in your body with sleep anxiety. Your heart rate becomes very fast. There is tightness in your chest and your belly. You have very fast but very shallow breathing. You're very alert. The brain is wired, but it's tired.
Yeah, it's like something like that.
Something
and
like
you
that,
feel
exactly.
like something is sitting on the chest. And that's why a lot of people, when they're anxious, they feel like they're having a heart attack.
Exactly.
A lot of times you have to kind of differentiate between the two, right? And what you bring out is extremely interesting, because we always think anxiety is like a mind issue, right? But when you talk about sleep anxiety and your body showing signs, your brain is actually looking at the body and figuring out, this is not the time to sleep. So imagine if you're breathing fast, and your chest is tight and your stomach is tight, your muscles are tight. It's like you're going to run, right?
Exactly.
So how are you going to sleep when your brain is preparing you to run, right? And you could be running from your thoughts, you could be running from a threat. It's the same thing. So this it's very important to first understand what the body is showing you, and it also kind of throws the light on why just thinking positive or mindfulness doesn't work. It's because this is not completely a brain or a mind issue. This is actually a body issue as well. And we have to pay attention to what the body is showing us for us to be relaxed and get into that mode.
And it's all about time. I think we live in a time where we believe in instant gratification. Everything should happen immediately. I want this in 30 seconds, it should happen. what we don't realize is that sometimes we have to really give our body some time to come into that mode or where it's more relaxed, and only then the brain will follow and sleep will be there. Like, I know this, that if I have exercised, say about 1.5 to 2 hours before my bedtime, no matter how difficult my exercise was, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
That's because I've made my body kind of go through that phase of where it's alert and it's ready to fight the world. I can't just expect it to change in 2 hours.
You're absolutely right. See, there are certain habits which will always be a problem for your sleep. See, if you drink coffee, cold drinks, or tea 2 or 3 hours before bed, that's a problem. If you drink a lot of water just before bed, that's a problem. If you do a workout just before bed, you will not be able to sleep. Taking pre-workout supplements, especially after 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, because they have a lot of caffeine in them, a lot of stimulants, they will not let you sleep either. If your room is not cool enough, if the room is not comfortable, if there's noise around, you will have broken sleep. It will be difficult for you to go to bed and sleep. And if your tummy is extremely full, let's say you had your meal and you went to bed, you'll have poor sleep. There's no question about it. You have to go bed empty stomach. So you have to eat at least 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. If you really want to sleep well, eat 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening so that you can go to bed by 10 o'clock. That's the best way to go to sleep. It will keep you away from all the meds and stuff.
Absolutely. I think, you make a very good point. I know many people who come, and many of the patients who come and tell me is that they believe it's a very healthy habit, that they drink a lot of water before they go to bed.
Yeah.
What they don't realize is that it's the same thing. You're going with a very, very filled tummy to bed.
Yeah.
And when the tummy is filled, no matter what, whether it's food or water, all of that is going to keep coming back into your food pipe, into your mouth the entire night, and it is going to disturb your sleep.
Yes, and that's what GERD is, right?
Exactly, that's what GERD is. Absolutely, you're correct about that.